She banged on my front door like she owned the place, shouting, "Open up! You're trespassing on HOA property!" Before I could even answer, three rough-looking guys in matching jackets walked right onto my porch like it belonged to them. One of them waved a clipboard and smirked. "Sign the papers. You're part of the HOA now, whether you like it or not." I stared at him, confused but calm. This is my land. I bought it free and clear. Your HOA doesn't even reach here. That only made them laugh. Karen herself stepped forward, arms crossed, eyes blazing. "If you don't join, we'll make you. Consider this your last warning." I heard my dog growling low behind the door, his canine training kicking in the second he sensed the tension. The men didn't flinch. They leaned closer, muttering threats like they'd done this before. One of them tried to push past me. My hand hovered over the shotgun leaning against the wall. My voice dropped, steady but sharp. "Step 1 foot further and you'll regret it." Karen gasped, pretending to be the victim. "Did you hear that? He just threatened us. This man's dangerous." She pulled out her phone like she was about to call backup. My dog barked louder, echoing through the cabin walls. And for the first time, I saw the thugs hesitate. They didn't realize I wasn't alone in this fight. Karen's fake bravado cracked when my dog pushed the door open and stood at my side, teeth bared, ready to lunge. The thugs shuffled back a step, but she hissed, "Don't move! He can't actually do anything! We run this neighborhood!" One of her men tried to act tough, pointing at my shotgun resting against the porch rail. "Go ahead, use it. You'll end up in jail." I tilted my head, calm as stone. "Funny thing about jail, you actually need a crime, and stepping on my land without permission, that's called trespassing." Karen's face twisted, but instead of backing off, she dialed a number on her phone. "Cops are already on the way. They'll drag you out in cuffs. I told them you were armed and dangerous." My stomach dropped, not because I was scared, but because I knew exactly what a false call like that could turn into. A man with a gun, cops on edge, it could end deadly. The growl in my dog's throat deepened. My finger brushed the shotgun's grip, but I held back. This wasn't the time to lose control. One thug leaned closer and muttered, "Lady says we toss him out before the cops get here. She's paying good money." That's when I smiled. They had no idea who they were dealing with. The crunch of tires on gravel cut through the tension. A black and white patrol truck rolled up fast, lights flashing. Karen straightened her shoulders like a queen expecting her soldiers. "Finally! Arrest him!" she shrieked, waving her arms wildly. "He's armed, he threatened us, he's refusing to follow HOA rules." The deputy stepped out first, hand resting on his holster. He scanned the scene. Me, steady on my porch, dog still growling, three thugs standing like hired muscle, and Karen theatrically pointing fingers. Then the sheriff himself climbed out of the truck, broad, calm, and with a look that made the whole porch go quiet. Karen rushed to him, her voice dripping with fake innocence. "Sheriff, thank God. This man is dangerous. He pulled a gun on us. He refuses to join the HOA. We can't live with someone like this in our community." She clutched her chest like she was about to faint. The sheriff didn't even look at her. His eyes locked on me. And then he smiled. "Haven't seen you since the academy, brother." The porch went dead silent. The thugs glanced at each other, realizing they'd just stepped into the wrong backyard. My dog wagged his tail now, as if he knew the game had just changed. Karen blinked, stuttering, "Wait, you know him?" The sheriff adjusted his hat, turning to her with a calm that cut deeper than shouting ever could. "Not only do I know him, he trained half my deputies. You just made a big mistake." Karen's jaw dropped, but before she could speak, the sheriff's tone hardened. "You three," he barked at the thugs, "hands where I can see them." They froze, caught between Karen's orders and the sheriff's authority. My canine barked once, sharp and commanding, like he was backing up the sheriff. Slowly, the men raised their hands.
Karen rushed forward, panicked. No, they're with me. They're enforcing HOA rules. You can't. The sheriff cut her off with a glare. HOA doesn't send armed muscle to someone's doorstep. That's called intimidation. And if you're paying them, that makes you guilty of conspiracy. Her face twisted, all fake sweetness gone. You don't understand. He has to join the HOA. We voted on it. I finally spoke, keeping my voice steady. Sheriff, you've seen my deed. My land is outside their jurisdiction. She knows it. That's why she's pulling this stunt. The sheriff nodded, pulling a folded document from his truck. He slapped it against Karen's chest. Confirmed with county records this morning. His property is exempt. You're trespassing, ma'am. The thug shifted nervously, and one muttered under his breath, "You didn't say he had the sheriff on speed dial." Karen spun on them, screeching, "Shut up! Do your job!" The sheriff's deputy stepped closer, handcuffs dangling. Their job now is deciding whether they want trespassing charges or worse. Karen's face went pale, but even then, she whispered under her breath like a cornered snake, "This isn't over." Karen's pale face hardened in an instant, and she pulled something from her purse, a folded paper stamped with a red seal. She shoved it at the sheriff like it was a weapon. "Here, a legal notice. This says he must submit to HOA regulations or be evicted. I had it notarized." The sheriff didn't even flinch. He unfolded the paper slowly, eyes scanning the lines. Then he chuckled, low and dangerous. "Notarized, huh? Cute trick. Too bad this isn't a court order. It's a fake document. I could arrest you just for filing this nonsense." The thugs exchanged uneasy looks, clearly realizing Karen's legal power was nothing but smoke. I stepped forward, keeping my shotgun lowered but visible. "You forged paperwork and sent men to threaten me on my own porch. That's not just HOA business. That's a crime." Karen's voice cracked, but she pushed back harder, desperation dripping through her words. "I own this neighborhood. Without me, this place falls apart. Do you think anyone's gonna believe him over me?" The sheriff turned slowly, his gaze sharp enough to cut through steel. "Lady, half the county already believes him over you. You've been on my desk for months. Harassment complaints, fraud, fake fines. You really thought this was the day you'd win?" For the first time, Karen's confidence slipped. The thugs lowered their arms, clearly ready to abandon her. My dog growled again, as if sensing her walls crumbling. She clenched her fists, eyes darting left and right like she was hunting for one last move. Then she hissed, "If the law won't handle this, I'll handle it myself." And she reached for something hidden in her bag. Her hand trembled as she dug deeper into the bag, pulling out a small black remote with a red button in the center. She held it up high, her voice trembling but laced with venom. "You think you can stop me? One press, and his cabin is gone. I had contractors wire it earlier. Explosives, buried under the deck." The porch went dead silent. Even the thugs stared at her in disbelief. "You're crazy," one of them muttered, stepping back. My dog barked furiously, lunging forward, straining against my grip. I locked eyes with the sheriff. No words needed. We both knew this wasn't just HOA bullying anymore. This was a felony. The sheriff's hand dropped to his holster, his deputy circling slowly toward her. Karen's finger hovered over the button, sweat dripping down her face. "Don't test me! He joins the HOA or his precious land burns to ash!" I took a slow breath, steadying my voice. "Karen, you just threatened to blow up county property. You do realize all utilities here, gas lines, water mains, are government-owned, right?" The sheriff's eyes lit up at my words. He stepped closer, calm but cutting. "That means if you press that button, you're not just vandalizing his land, you're committing terrorism." The color drained from her face, but her fingers still twitched over the button. The thugs were already backing away from her, muttering, "We didn't sign up for this." Then, with one swift motion, my canine lunged at her. His jaws snapped onto her wrist, forcing her to drop the remote. It clattered onto the porch, harmless. The deputy dove in, pinning her arms as she screamed. And just like that, the power shifted completely.
Karen shrieked as the deputy snapped cold steel around her wrists, her face red with rage. "You can't arrest me! I run this community!" she screamed, kicking against the porch boards. The sheriff leaned down, his voice steady and final. "Not anymore. You just crossed into federal charges. Terroristic threats, forgery, conspiracy. You're done." The thugs stood frozen, hands still raised, eyes darting to the woods like they were planning to bolt. The sheriff's deputy swung his gun toward them. "Stay put. You're part of this too." One of them broke first, blurting out, "It was her. She paid us cash, said the sheriff was too dumb to notice. We didn't know she had that." He pointed at the fallen remote, his voice shaking. The sheriff picked it up carefully, wrapping it in a glove. "You just confessed on record, son. You're going downtown with her." Karen twisted against the cuffs, spitting venom. "I'll sue all of you. I'll take his land. I finally stepped forward, my shotgun resting easy against my shoulder, my dog sitting proud by my side. My voice was calm, almost soft. "Karen, you threatened my home, my life, and you dragged these idiots into it. But you forgot one thing." She glared up at me, eyes blazing with hate. "And what's that?" I leaned down just enough for her to hear it clear. "This isn't your kingdom. It's my land. And now the whole county knows the truth." The neighbors had gathered quietly at the edge of the gravel road, watching everything unfold. Phones were up recording. Karen's empire was collapsing in real time. The sheriff hauled Karen toward the patrol truck as the crowd of neighbors pressed closer, camera still rolling. She was no longer screaming, just muttering under her breath, eyes darting like a cornered rat. The thugs were cuffed beside her, their bravado gone, heads hanging low. The sheriff turned to the crowd. "For months, you've been harassed by this woman. Tonight, it ends. She won't be back." His words landed like a hammer. The neighbors actually cheered, some clapping, some shaking their heads in disbelief. I stood on my porch, shotgun lowered, dog sitting proudly by my leg. For the first time since buying the land, I felt something different. Peace. A neighbor shouted, "We thought you had control of you too! Didn't know you had the sheriff on your side!" I smiled faintly. "I don't just have him, I have the law. That's all I ever needed." Karen snarled one last time as they pushed her into the truck. "You'll regret this!" But her voice cracked, drowned out by the sound of the cuffs clicking tighter. The sheriff looked back at me, his expression softer now. "You did good holding your ground. Most folks would have broken. You didn't." I glanced at my cabin, the land stretching beyond it. I didn't fight for this country to be told I can't live free on my own land. The sheriff gave a slow nod, then drove off, taillights fading down the gravel road. As the neighbors dispersed, one by one, I stayed on the porch, breathing in the night air. My canine nudged my hand, tail wagging like he already knew we'd won. Justice wasn't just served tonight, it was seen by everyone. And from that night on, the only sound in these woods was peace, not Karen's chaos.